For the first time since 1988, for the third time ever, the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. What an unbelievable season. They were 75-1 to go to the Super Bowl to start the year. Hope you had that one. They were 2-14 2 years ago. They drafted some kid named Burrow. Then they drafted some kid named Chase. They stuck with Zach Taylor, and now plane reservations to LA because they're representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. Here we are, CBS Sports HQ, sponsored by Microsoft Surface with Jonathan Jones. I'm Eric Casilius. Man, this was a pretty shocking result. Not only at the start of the day, but when they were down 18 during the day. How shocked are you? And what is the most surprising aspect of what we just saw?
I'm pretty shocked, and I'm shocked because the Kansas City Chiefs, especially after the first half and what they were able to do and put up 21 points, and they probably should have put up just a little bit more there at the end of the first half. But wow, you have a Kansas City Chiefs team playing at home knowing what the AFC title game is all about, right? It was their fourth straight trip there. You have a head coach in Zach Taylor who, before this season, didn't have anything close to a winning record. You had a second-year quarterback in Joe Burrow. You had a team that didn't know what the moment would be, and being down 21-3 heading into halftime, a touch of momentum there after they were able to stop Tyreek Hill at the 1-yard line. But I did not at all feel coming out of halftime that this was a game that, okay, no question about it, the Bengals are going to be able to come back slowly but surely. And then with about 6 minutes left, the Bengals have the lead in this game. A truly, truly incredible performance by Joe Burrow and that bunch.
The most surprising thing to me is the fact that Patrick Mahomes was so awesome and dominant in the first half and was so un-Patrick Mahomes like in the second half. I can't ever remember him playing a worse half than he did in the second half in overtime. And it wasn't like, well, it was a really good defensive performance. It just wasn't his day. It was like they flicked a switch at halftime. Why did we see such a turn from the first half when the Chiefs just did whatever they wanted on offense, up 21-3, and almost had more, got stopped on the 1 foot line, or the 1 yard line essentially, right before halftime, to the second half where they had 3 total points and looked completely inept down the stretch, including into overtime?
Pass rush. We saw a much better pass rush from the Cincinnati Bengals. When you look at Sam Hubbard, was able to have 3 quarterback hits and he got 2 sacks. When you look at what Trey Hendrickson was able to do, 1.5 sacks, 5 quarterback hits there. In the second half, they were able to get to Patrick Mahomes. Now, we all know Patrick Mahomes likes to hold on to the football, make things happen. Guys are ultimately going to get open downfield, Mecole Hardman or Tyreek Hill. They were playing fantastic coverage there on the back end. Obviously, there was that amazing game-saving, game-helping play with Von Bell and Jesse Bates. But those corners and those safeties were playing fantastic coverage downfield. That allowed the pass rush to finally get to Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that this falls on the offensive line necessarily. It wasn't that they were blitzing Mahomes. He was only blitzed about 9% of his dropbacks, which is very much in line with how much he's been blitzed this entire season. They didn't do anything special. They just played great defense, great team, complementary defense. You hear it all the time from coaches. Play great sticky coverage on the back end. Let our pass rush get there. That's what happened.
All right, so who would you make the MVP for Cincinnati? You can pick a player or a unit. Is it Burrow? Is it Mixon, who was a baller for 4 quarters today? Was it their D-line? Was it their secondary, which seemed to play about as well as I thought they could have? You know, whatever their 100% output is, they're pretty much right there. You couldn't ask for more. Who was the MVP for Cincinnati today?
It was Burrow, and his stat line doesn't say, oh, wow, it wasn't the 400 passing yards like he had in that Week 17 matchup, right? But he was only sacked 1 time. You and I are watching that game together. How often was the Chiefs' pass rush around him, and he was getting out of it? Those incredible third down escapes that he had throughout the game, and then, of course, making the throws when he needed to. It's not enough that Jesse Bates makes the play and Von Bell gets the interception. They're still in their own territory once they take over. You got to get across midfield, and obviously Joe Mixon had plenty to do with that as well, but I think it has to be Joe Burrow in this one. Joe Cool, the guy who is always, always clutch and came up clutch. Again, you didn't really think that they were going to come back. They did because of how cool Joe Burrow was.
All right, what does this do for Patrick Mahomes' legacy. He's an all-time great going in. He's an all-time great now. But one of the things when you talk about the all-time greats, they were never the reason their team lost, right? You don't have to win every time. I saw LeBron James lose finals. To me, for example, the one where you can sort of stain him was Dallas. Because he didn't play well.
That's right.
Not Golden State where they got beat and he was the best player on the floor, but just didn't have enough around him. This was Mahomes. Like, this was his LeBron James Dallas, no? I mean, he was bad in the second half. He had a bad interception. He had a fumble. He had a throw in overtime, which should have been picked off. The one that actually was picked off was tipped. I don't even put that much on him. But ultimately, 3 points in the second half and in overtime. His team loses at home. What does this do for him?
You mentioned that fumble. I mean, my goodness, the Cincinnati Bengals almost won and went to the Super Bowl off that fumble. If they were able to jump on it, of course, Joe Tinney made a fantastic play, and they were able to kick that field goal in order to get to overtime. What does it do for Patrick Mahomes' legacy? He's still the greatest young quarterback in NFL history. He still has the NFL MVP. He still has a Super Bowl ring and a Super Bowl MVP all to his name. He's still been able to be in the AFC title game in 4 consecutive years in his first 4 years of playing football. That's incredible. He could retire right now, and I think he's in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not in 5 years, but in 6 or 7. He's in there. This hurts. And this is a thought that I've had today where I thought that this was Patrick Mahomes' best chance. He was facing an underdog team, right? They were 7-point dogs. He was facing a quarterback who had never been there before, a head coach who had never been there before. You win this game at home. Look on the other side. There's no Rodgers. There's no Brady coming out of the NFC. The thing was sort of open for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And unfortunately for him, he put together, in my opinion, one of his worst halves of football. You have to be able to score more than 3 points. And he put the ball on the deck there that almost lost them the game. And then, of course, it was a fantastic play by Jesse Bates in order for Von Bell to get that interception. But Patrick Mahomes was playing less than for the final 30-plus minutes of the game.
Yes.
Listen, congratulations goes out to Cincinnati. They did a nice job and did a better job than what we did in that second half for sure. Appreciate our fans for sticking with us throughout the season and then being great today. So, listen, it's my responsibility to make sure that we do better offensively and as a team. And I obviously didn't get that done that second half. So I've got to do a better job there. We'll go back and look at things and make the adjustments that we need to going into the offseason. Unfortunately, this is so final, and that's where we sit now. And it's our players were disappointed. Obviously, they put a lot of time and effort into this, putting themselves in this position for a championship game. I'm proud of them for that and the way they battled through some of the problems that we had early in the season. So we, again, very appreciative of the guys.
Hey, Patrick, can you take us through that last play of the first half? What happened there, what you were thinking? And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, we had just ran a play. It took 4 seconds to play before where I burned it. So I knew that the time was low, obviously. I knew we needed to get points. We called a play that we were trying to get someone over the middle quick. And then I was supposed to throw the ball away. I got a little greedy there and try to give to Tyreek and get a touchdown. They had 2 people out there. So definitely, I mean, in the long run of things, it looks bad. But if we had another chance, I would have went for another play again.
Okay. And the Super Bowl has been the standard around here now, obviously. How are you going to look back on this season when you have time to reflect on it?
I mean, you take away the good things, just like any season. It's definitely disappointing. I mean, here with this group of guys that we have, we expect to be in that game and to win that game. And anything less than that is not success. So we'll go back. We'll look at all the things we did well, the adversity we battled through, the team that we became towards the end of the season, and try to learn from the mistakes that we made and try to be better next year.